polling is underway in the island nation of Sri Lanka with 15.9 million registered voters. This is being touted as a watershed moment in the history of one of Asia's oldest democracies. And this is like an election never before. Both leading contenders, Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Sajith Premadasa, arrived at their respective polling stations to cast their vote. Rajapaksa appeared extremely confident as he arrived at the polling booth, saying that the people of Sri Lanka could get a better future under his presidency.
Sir, do you feel confident, sir?
Yes. Very confident, very confident.
Sir, how confident are you? Sir?
Very confident.
Sorry?
Very confident.
And sir, what do you want to bring to the people of Sri Lanka, sir? Sir, if elected,
People of Sri Lanka will get a better future under me, under my presidency.
Gotabaya Rajapaksa's main rival Sajith Premadasa took to Twitter, urging people to go out early and cast their votes to elect the country's next leader. Meanwhile, Sri Lankan current and former leaders exercised their franchise. Sri Lanka's election authority has also revealed instances of efforts to influence voters in many polling booths. In the southeastern district of Monaragala, local leaders were seen attempting to influence voters in favor of Rajapaksa's SLPP party. Meanwhile, a convoy of Muslim voters were ambushed in northwestern Sri Lanka merely hours before polling opened in the country. Police said that the gunmen burnt tires on major roads to set up roadblocks, after which a convoy of 100 buses were ambushed. Police say that there have been no reports of casualties so far and that 2 buses were shot at in the attack. And while the polling continues in the island nation, this was the situation on the ground looks like, and what voters have to say.
Come with a heart to serve his people, not someone who is here for power or with a personal agenda. I've come here to cast my vote not just for my future but the future of our children as well. So it is my prayer and belief that everyone around Sri Lanka, all citizens, will vote wisely, vote with a clear conscience and elect a leader who will come to serve his people.
I prefer the candidate who works, not who talks. People can talk hell of a lot of things, but the man who talks little is the man who works.
We need a leader who would take the country forward, who have proved himself an energetic, courageous and strong one.
And now we have journalist Zulfick Farzan joining us live from Colombo for the latest on the Sri Lankan elections. Zulfick, thank you so much for being with us here on WION World. I want to begin by asking you to talk to us in terms of how the voter turnout has been in Sri Lanka for this momentous presidential election.
The voter turnout, according to the latest reports coming out from the National Elections Commission, is that almost 80% of the people have voted, that's the registered voters, have cast their vote for this presidential election. Now, a majority of the key cities, including Kalutara, Kandy, Nuwara Eliya, and several other districts, have recorded over 80% of voter turnout, and this is indeed a remarkable turnout of events taking place here in Sri Lanka as the country votes for its new president.
Now, there have been reports of voters being influenced in, there was one in Monaragala, and talk to us in terms of how polling has been, how peaceful or not the polling has been.
Well, according to the National Elections Commission and the police spokesperson, SSP voting has taken place in a very peaceful manner despite certain incidents being reported. Overall, the entire situation is very much peaceful. No casualties were reported from any altercations that had reportedly taken place. In addition to that, the Sri Lanka Army also dismissed rumors as baseless and false of these possible rumors going on, saying that roadblocks were set up in the north of the country, and the army commander in a statement stressed that all measures have been taken to, so that no inconvenience is caused to the voters.
Right. I'm asking this because there's also a report of in northwestern Sri Lanka, a convoy of Muslim voters' buses being ambushed as well.
Yes, there was a report of a convoy being ambushed and attacked. Like 2 buses were attacked by an unknown group. Now, a police investigation is already underway. Fortunately, no casualties were reported from that incident.
Right. And also, help us understand, with this kind of a high voter turnout, we've seen Mr. Rajapaksa being extremely confident, on polling day, and you have a high voter turnout. Sajith Premadasa urging voters to go out and vote as early as they can. Talk to us in terms of, what kind of a result can be expected in terms of the fact that there has been the nationality row that has haunted Rajapaksa going into polling day.
That's right. Just let me give you a brief on the nationality row that took place. That's about Gotabaya Rajapaksa's Sri Lankan citizenship. It was challenged in the Court of Appeal in Sri Lanka via a petition, and that petition was not given permission to proceed. And thereby, the petitioners appealed to the Supreme Court seeking an injunction or an order to dismiss the Court of Appeal order. So that matter is still going on. So as elections are held today, we are still not quite certain as to what that court verdict would be, and I would say it's still too early to comment on that matter. However, now if you look at Gotabaya Rajapaksa, he's the brother of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Sajith Premadasa is the son of late President Ranasinghe Premadasa. So both of them come from strong camps, and it is quite evident that both of them are the front runners in this presidential race. However, it is still too early to say that either one of them would get 50% plus 1 vote because of the preferential vote system that is also in place.
Zulfick Farzan joining us live from Colombo for that latest update on the Sri Lankan presidential elections. So thank you, Zulfick, for being with us here on WION World is One. Now, as part of our coverage of the Sri Lankan presidential elections, today we profile Sajith Premadasa. Premadasa is the son of a former president and prime minister of Sri Lanka. He is one of the front runners in the country's presidential elections, which is being held at an extremely crucial moment in the country's history. Take a look at this profile of Sajith Premadasa.
52-year-old presidential hopeful Sajith Premadasa is the son of assassinated former Sri Lankan president and prime minister Ranasinghe Premadasa. His father was killed by a Tamil terrorist in 1993 as government forces battled the insurgents looking to establish an independent Tamil state or Elam. Premadasa took his oath to become Sri Lanka's Housing and Cultural Affairs Minister. Premadasa's first cabinet post was the Housing Minister, the position that brought his father to political prominence. His father, as Housing Minister from 1968 to 1970 and from 1977 to 1988, built millions of houses for the rural poor and the urban lower and middle classes. Premadasa followed in his father's footsteps and won the support of the rural poor by ordering the construction of tens of thousands of houses as the Housing Minister under the slogan of Shelter for All at 2025. Today, Premadasa is again trying to emulate his late father by running for president. Before campaign meetings, Premadasa went to temples to seek the blessings of Buddhist monks. The clergy holds large sway over voters in the Buddhist majority island nation of 22 million. Premadasa received wide support by lawmakers to be the main presidential candidate for the ruling United National Party. But Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is also the leader of the party, refused to concede to nominations for his deputy Premadasa. At the time, the party considered Wickremesinghe and Speaker Karu Jayasuriya for the nomination. Premadasa and his supporters launched a series of public rallies attended by record crowds to pressure Wickremesinghe, who was eventually forced to announce Premadasa as the party's candidate. Ahead of nominations for presidential candidates, Premadasa was keen to project a softer image to the public. The Housing Ministry shared footage of him playing musical instruments at public events and also him playing soccer. Sri Lanka's ruling United National Party nominated its deputy leader Premadasa to run in the 16th November presidential election, a move that appears intended to win over Buddhist majority voters.
We are extremely confident that the vast majority of Sri Lankans of all ethnic, religious backgrounds, irrespective of caste, creed, will support this monumental, path-breaking program which will make our country prosperous, and a country where prosperity is enjoyed by everyone and not by an exclusive family club.
Premadasa entered politics in 1994. He was first elected to the legislature in 2000. Tourism industry. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Sir, how confident are you?
Very confident.
It has been a neck-to-neck campaign with the two main contenders and the remaining other